this.
All right.
Yeah, so just to start, you know, you can give us your background, introduce yourself, what you do, and everything like that.
Yeah, so I'm Halie. I'm an artist based on the East Coast of Maryland, and I'm an oil painter. My paintings are narrative, usually larger scale, narrative, figurative paintings that deal with women empowerment, equality, love, desire, duality, all those things morphed into one. And yeah, I'm a full-time artist right now after COVID, so it's
Nice.
been really great. Yeah.
So I just had he's called a visual artist. His name is John Gay. He's from Colorado. I had him on, I think last week. And he also, like, you were talking more of like women empowerment stuff, but he does visual portrayings of like women and things like that.
Oh, nice.
And when I asked him about like, oh, like what does he think about that and why does he do that in a certain way, he started telling me that like he got into like some deep talks about how like everything comes from women and how he's like talking about how he loves his mom and everything like that. So I think it's cool that you dabble into women empowerment art. And I just had another artist on who dabbles into just like the feminization of visual arts, and he's very into psychedelics and stuff like that. So that's cool. And then I talked to Austin, who's not really a painter, but he's advice for artists. So the only people I've really
Yeah.
talked to have been like this really feminization of art, which is very cool because I know very little about, especially about paintings. And so like a question I have for you especially is like what even is the difference between oil painting and like other types of painting and stuff like that? Yeah, it's cool that
Yeah.
I see like this spiritualization kind of side of paintings and art in general, you know?
Yeah, no, I definitely like over a little bit over a year ago, I delved into the spiritual. Like, I don't do psychedelics or anything, but part of me like wants to try just to see like what I could see or visualize and then what I could create. Um, but the more I dove deeper into my spirituality and myself, the more I saw the feminine, and just seeing energy come out into my paintings is more of something that came from like a higher source rather than my ego. Because before that, I was purely looking at it as like something that came from purely my emotions or my thoughts, and it's kind of switched since then. So that's interesting that you talk about like spirituality and yeah, feminine energy, because that's what I try and express a lot.
Yeah, I think that's really cool because like I like how you said it's like bigger than you now. It's like almost like the collective that you kind of try to paint. You try to paint for like things that are outside of yourself, things that are in the spiritual realm. And the cool thing I actually talked to Austin
Yeah.
about earlier, so if you're listening to this and you haven't listened to that one, go check that out, is we talked about how I think that people who create unimaginable beautiful art like music, paintings, things like that, they can almost see into a different kind of realm than like the average person. I think I would call that something to do with their creativity or something like that. It's like seeing, like it's like almost like putting on glasses if you're blind. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think I think when you say that, when you say like you're creating something almost bigger than yourself, I totally agree, because I think that that's kind of the perfection and beauty of like art in general, is that it's honestly bigger than us as just human beings, individuals almost.
Yeah. I heard recently that like storytelling is making the personal universal. And I heard it, and I'm like, that's exactly what I've been trying to do. Like, because before it was more like zeroing in as like tunnel vision on that ego part. But now it's like, let me step back from myself and like allow myself to feel and be the vessel that is in between.
Yeah,
Um, and like, yeah, be the vessel and allow it to come through and not like suppress it so much,
that's
or
nice.
try to make it something that it isn't supposed to be.
So
So
how long have you been painting?
I've been painting since I started painting in, I think it was like fourth grade or fifth grade, but that was acrylic. So I'll give you, you said you didn't know the like types of paints. So I started with like acrylic, which is water-based paint. And then oils I started painting in college. So that was like my sophomore year of college, um, which if I'm doing the math right, it's like how many years was that? 5 years ago. And oil-based paints, I think they allow for a lot more like vibrancy, and it's slower drying time. So acrylic is like super fast drying time. You put it on and it immediately dries. But there's just like there's something about oil painting that it just slows down the process. It's more meditative, and I don't know. I just love using oils a lot more. Um, but yeah, and then there's
So
watercolor
yeah.
paints and all that.
So what is the oil? Like what is the oil paint like made out of it? Like how is it created, you know?
It's like a pigment. So it's like a pigment that's mixed with, I use, so I use Gamsol and stand oil. So you have to mix it with the medium. So you get the color in the tube like this. I have them right here.
Mhm.
And then you just mix them with the oil, but it's basically just pigment. Uh, yeah, I can, that's what I think it is at least. But
No, yeah, I've always heard acrylics and then I've always heard oil and I just really never knew that like what the difference was or so oil you said
yeah,
oil takes longer to dry and things like that.
yeah. And it's a bit more complicated. Like acrylics, you just mix with water. Oil paints, you have tons of different mediums. Well, there's still some with acrylic, but with oils, there's just like a broader range that you can use and textures that you can get,
Hmm.
in my opinion.
So where does like most of your inspiration come from? Like not in the sense like while you're painting or like
Mhm.
you have like ideas and then you paint it or do you have I like you're like, oh, I want to paint today and then you have the idea while you're painting? Is it kind of a combination? Where do those like inspirations come from?
So it's actually, it's all different, I would say, but it can happen. A lot of it happens when I'm working out or moving my body or like not doing something that has to do with, like, I'm not just sitting there like trying to think. It's whenever I don't think of anything that they just like pop in. And I used to work actually in a restaurant and I was sorting through silverware and I had an idea and like it came, like I just like had it right away. It just came in. And I like get so excited when I get the idea right away. And then I'll either write like a note down in my notes app on my phone and just be like, okay, I got to start tomorrow. Like I got to sketch it out. Like I don't really do thumbnails. I'll do like a small thumbnail sketch, but I don't really draw that much anymore. And then I'll immediately like just throw it on there and it'll happen. But yeah, the idea comes quick and like I'll know it right away and I'll just like feel like that's the idea I'm going to bring to life and there's
Hmm.
like no doubt. But before I'd like, I don't know, I would try and make it happen and try and think of different concepts, but the more you allow it, the easier that they'll come through, I think.
Definitely. Do you ever like dream something and then wake up and think, oh, I gotta paint that?
No, I wish I did. I don't get them from dreams. Like I'll actually get ideas too from conversations I have with people or experiences and like how somebody makes me feel or an emotion that comes up. Um, Usually will trigger it, but no, I've heard of people creating from dreams and I don't even remember my dreams very much. So I
Mm.
wish that that was the case for me.
No, yeah, I get that. So, like you said, like when someone's talking to you, an emotion you feel or something like that, would you say most of your art is like based on how you're feeling in a certain time? Like, do you think it's mostly emotional, you would say?
Yeah, definitely triggered by emotions or memories that like stick out in my consciousness. Also, music's been like since I started my like Evermore Taylor Swift series, like music, I didn't realize how much it inspires me, but I like listen to something and if the lyrics like hit me and they can resonate back to an experience I had, I can create something from it. Just getting into the zone with music.
Yeah, music's really, really powerful like that. So how I got into like using my voice and doing things like this is I started making music when I was in high school with my friend Jake. Um, and we were making just dumb hip hop music, you know. But I've always like sang and stuff when I was like younger and stuff. And that's kind of how I got my creative outlet. And I still like dabble into it and like I still like create songs. I love writing songs. It's one of my favorite things. But there's something about like when I'm feeling I'll give you an example. Like a couple days ago, maybe a week ago, I was like feeling superhuman. Like I was feeling super connected. I don't know if you ever get like that. Like I was feeling like we were having these
Hmm.
football meetings and like people were telling their stories and people were getting really personal. And like I just felt like we were all like connected, you know. I was like everyone's really going through it. We're all kind of in this together. And I was feeling like really at the center of like what being like an individual is like. And I was like writing some of the greatest music I've ever written just because like I was feeling really in touch with everything. Um
Yeah.
and I do that once in a while, just write songs because it's like lets me get out my creative energy in like a healthy manner. But yeah, I think it's crazy how music is really inspirational to everything, like, and everyone who's creative, because like I said, that kid, John Gay, was telling me, he was like, he's telling me that most of his paintings are like song titles or things like that, where he gets inspiration from. So I think
Yeah.
that kind of like art as like a source, they kind of all meld together, creativity all kind of melds together.
Yeah. And I heard once like the best kind of art inspires other art. And I think that's what music really does. I have a question for you though. Why don't you share? So you create music and then you just don't release it, or you don't put it out?
It depends. I've created a couple songs that are out, like either my friends have posted them or I have. Um, I think I have one song. I'm a perfectionist, and so a lot of the
Hmm.
times I'll write like I have a really bad problem with writing either a hook or like a hook and a verse and then never touching the song again, like never doing anything, because I just can't figure it out. And so I have like
Yeah.
probably 35 unfinished songs just on my drive, and then I have like countless others that are finished that I just like don't really, they're not ready yet,
Hmm.
I don't know if you can relate to that, just being like maybe seeing a painting, you're just like, it's just not ready, there's just something missing. That's kind of how
Yeah.
I
This
am.
one, like I haven't shared it yet. It's just like, yeah, it's like, when it's ready, but
Yeah,
it's not at all. But yeah, I can
definitely.
definitely relate to that.
Yeah,
Because
so
there's a
that's,
sort of like sacredness to sharing it, and to like, I don't know, this like a solidity to actually putting it out there and
mhm.
just leaving it there.
There's a vulnerability to it,
Hmm.
you got to like almost sacrifice yourself to not only the piece that you're working on, but also basically the entire world that you're going to share it with. I think people who, because not everyone's like super creative, and that's fine, or a lot of people don't want to do things that are like super artistic, which is like, I mean, I would say sports are artistic in a sense, but a lot of people aren't like super like that. But there's a vulnerability to creating something like music or paintings, or even like writing books, or anything like that's coming from your own psyche. There's a vulnerability because you're kind of putting some of yourself always into it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like we're going back to what we humans do, is just create, like in any way that we do it. Like you said, even sports. Like I used to play basketball, and that would be like a release, and then art would be, so it's just like different forms of release that we happen to find ourselves in, or like certain levels of skill
Hmm.
that we enjoy. But
It's weird. I've always thought it was fascinating, like thinking about like how we as humans are like, how do I put this the right way, interested in like certain things. Like there's like, you liked basketball, now you like oil painting. Like why
mhm.
are you interested in that? Like why do I like making music, talking to other people, podcasting, or playing football? Like why is that like my kind of thing, and my niche? I always thought it was fascinating because like we don't really know where your personal interests come from. Like you can probably trace it back to like genes and stuff, but like even then, like why are certain people interested in becoming medical assistants and some people interested in becoming lawyers while other people are interested in playing football and stuff? I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, no, me too. I would have never, like, I think I put, for me it was like basketball was my whole life up until a couple years ago. And that's why I've just loved diving fully into painting. I feel like I hadn't been able to, because with sports it takes up so much of your time, and I feel like I'm just like getting it all out. Like I'm just like diving into it, and it feels great though. It feels like I've always been like meaning to do this. It's just I haven't had the chance. So,
Yeah, that's another thing that's funny is like, I don't know, like you said, your whole life was basketball. And for my life, my whole life's been like, oh, go to school, get a good degree, do this, and then
mhm.
play sports along the way. And then like now it's like I'm finding out that there's like other things that kind of just like fall into your lap that you like I like to do, like this, like
Mhm.
podcasting kind of like was, not that it was like handed to me, but like I didn't think I was gonna be like doing this. So it's cool to think that like, I'm a big believer in that, like, not like necessarily everything happens for a reason, but definitely like things happen for a reason, and think whatever you're destined to do, I think you're gonna find it.
Yeah. It's like your environment mirrors like what's happening inside of you. So it's like everything happens, I think, yeah, like you said, for a reason and at the right time too. Like it can't be forced or, you know, anything like that.
Could you look back and think of one painting or a couple paintings where you were just like super inspired and like it was like that moment that you can just like remember the tip of your tongue?
Yeah, a lot of them. Like I just think of it as a visual diary. Like I've always, like even during basketball and stuff, I mean, and in college, I'd always created, but never since this last year. I just like created more than I ever have. But yeah, if I look at it, like some, it's hard to look at because I just connect with that emotion or that feeling that I had and, or that place that I was at during the time. Like the one on the wall next to me, it's like one that I had before I came out, and it's very blue. Like I had like a blue period where I was creating from such pain and just like shame, I think. And then right now I'm trying to switch it to creating out of joy, and I'm challenging myself. I actually just thought of this week. I need to create a painting purely based off of joy and no pain, because it's like easier for me to pick the pain, especially now, versus like joyful moments.
I
In my
think
life.
that is what you said, picking the pain over the joy. I think that's like not like natural to humans, but it's kind of easier to humans. Like even in music, you hear like a lot of the really big like pop songs or even hip hop songs, they're all sad.
Yeah.
They have like a sad
Hmm.
undertone, sad beat, something like that. So I think we feel very pulled in because we know that feeling so well. I think it's really hard for a lot of people to feel joy, especially like you said, shame is a lot of it. It's really hard for individuals to feel like perfect joy, but everyone knows like what pain is like and how to feel that pain. So I think it is like almost it's harder, like you said, to like work on joy. It's
Yeah.
really a skill you have to develop.
Yeah. And usually the songs that are sad are the ones that I gravitate towards, because like when you listen to them, I don't know, it's a way that we heal. We talk about our pain to get past it, or to like, not to get past it, but to create space and to be detached from it so you can look at it and not be totally in that feeling or that emotion. So I definitely understand like why we do it. And I think that like with duality, like you have to have both sides of that coin. You have to have the joy and you have to have the pain to understand and see both
Definitely.
of them.
Definitely. So let's talk about your podcast for a little bit. The Closeted Artist. That's
Yes.
super relaxing sounding, by the way.
Thank
Like
you.
I was listening to it, and it sounded like I opened a meditation app. I was like, okay, I can dig this.
I know it's like ASMR. I need to
Yeah.
do it more talking voice, but I'm just like, I don't care. Just like I just zone out, I have my coffee and I just go like right into it
When
with
did you
my
start
Yeti
that?
microphone. So I started that June of this year.
Nice.
Um, and I wanted it to be like the three for me are like spirituality, art, and sexuality, like talking about those three concepts. And I didn't have I felt like it was all separate. So I just wanted to create something that talked about that and just talked about me creating in like a closeted space and how good it feels to create out of it, and
Hmm.
just the amount of people that you can meet whenever you're fully your like authentic self. So I don't know. I just thought of it when I was doing this journaling prompt in one of my coaching programs that I was doing at the time. And we were actually journaling about painful moments, and it just came in. I was like, closeted artist. Like I want to have, like, that's what I want to create. And then I just, within a week I did it. And I need to be
Nice.
more scheduled with it. And I do want to do interviews like this, but I just have
Hmm.
been holding back a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's cool too to get your own perspective on things. I don't really, I I've heard a couple people say this when they have shows and stuff. I hate kind of calling this a podcast because it's really a show, not really a podcast. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't really have a set thing that I talk about every time, and so I feel bad when I'm like telling people I have a podcast because they think they're getting like a niche or something like that. But it's really more just me talking to people that I find interesting. Because I was really into the Joe Rogan Experience for a while, and I was like,
Oh, I love him.
yeah.
I love watching him.
Yeah, and he kind of talks to like all different types of people. And I was like, that'd be fun. And then like I kind of just accidentally started it, and then I started having people on, and then it just kind of keeps going. So I was like,
Yeah.
I can do this, but I hate calling it a podcast because it's like it's a little touchy because it's kind of not. It's more like
I
a
don't think I think I think it could be both. Like I see it as both, but yeah, I guess I see the
It's the
stigma around the
sticklers.
the
Yeah,
podcast
it's like
term.
the entrepreneur podcast and stuff like that. They hate
Yeah.
like people like this have a podcast. It's just like, dude, that's like an interview show. Like that's, and I'm like, there's like two types of people. I feel like in this little like realm. I don't know if you think this way too, but there's like the people who are like they have like a show or they like usually have a niche, but maybe they'll bring on people and they'll have conversations and stuff like that. And then there's like the
Yeah.
super, super niche people who like they have one thing and they stick to it. Maybe they're talking about like horror movies. I had a guy on who talks about horror movies. That's why I thought about that. Or maybe they're talking about paintings or
Yeah.
business. There's a lot of business ones. And they're like super like we release every other Friday and we talk about this,
Yeah.
this, yeah. So it's like, and those
Yeah.
guys are I mean, it works, but it's like they're kind of two different genres, you know. So I get it when people don't want to call this a podcast, but I was just like, that's kind of what it is, you know. But it's also like
Yeah.
kind of a different medium. But yeah, back to your podcast. Off that digression.
No, I agree though. I like the more casual ones too. Like I
Yeah,
don't like the very like strict
yeah.
ones, but
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, like I'm glad you did that though, because like I feel like definitely for like anyone creative, like podcast is a way to like if you're not speaking, like it's a way for you to get your voice out and stuff. So that's cool.
Hmm.
So what do you say you want to bring on guests and stuff? What else do you want to do with it?
Like I want to interview, like the whole point for me was to talk about my story and connect with maybe artists that were in the closet or just girls or young girls or women that are still in the closet and just talk about things that I wish I would have talked to my, like it's like me talking to my younger self. That's how I feel whenever I'm speaking. Um, and kind of something that I would have wanted when I was in that position. And I would love to speak. I've talked to a couple artists that I want to interview, but I've just like not pulled the trigger on it yet. But I would love to interview them just about, you know, things that they created while they were in the closet or how they used it to heal, or just talk about ideas that they need to bring into the light, like just the whole concept of, you know, speaking your truth or being authentic.
Yeah,
So
I think you definitely should do that because one thing I have found from doing this is that speaking to people, like everyone has an interesting story to tell.
yeah,
And conversations, like when they're not, like you said, like more casual, they become more genuine, I think, you know,
yeah,
like when I go into one, I usually have like a set of things that I want to know, like I already want to know, but then I usually just let the conversation kind of grab itself, kind of develop on its own. Because I feel like
yeah,
it's more genuine, and I feel like the listeners, um, they get a more like personal experience. So I think, especially with you, with that deep of a topic, if you bring on people and talk like genuinely, I think that would really bring a lot of people to gravitate towards that. So I think that's a really good idea.
yeah. Thank you. No, I took it as a sign too when you reached out. I'm like, I just need to do it because I've been wanting to be featured and like just talk more on different podcasts to get more comfortable myself. So it's a sign. The universe is sending me signs to do it.
Yes, yes, it's cool that like I am a big proponent. So I would call myself very religious. Like I wear a cross. Like I would call myself like a Christian. So I call myself like, but I'm more of like I would like not fundamental religion. You know, I'm more like I like more spiritual religion. So I believe like the
Yeah.
universe is like God and everything like that. And so like whenever I see signs, I always feel like that's like God talking to me. And one of my like craziest like stories that I always tell people is like me and my girlfriend have been dating over a year now. Shout out Trinity. But we we
Congrats.
before that we or I had like never had a relationship before, and I was just like kind of lonely, you know. I was a young kid. When would this happen? I think I was a sophomore. I had just no, I was a freshman in college a couple of years ago. And so when I was like kind of like in my own head, a little down, I would always go for drives and like pray, I would call it, just talk, you know, and
Hmm.
like you always feel like someone's listening. And one of the times I was driving, I was like, why can't I find like my person? Like what's up with me? Like, why am I always the
Oh,
one?
I've been there. I've
Yeah.
done the same thing.
And then like, oh, I think a week later I met my girlfriend who I've been dating for over a
Oh,
year now. So like, I was like playing tricks to me, always playing tricks to me.
yeah, you
Um,
manifested it.
yeah. And And, you know, that doesn't work for everything. That's just one of the ones where I was like
Yeah.
super, like, that's like, it, like super pinpointed me in. And so I do that with everything. Like, I just try to, like, even the good and the bad, like, hey, like, show me, you know, what's my next move, you know? So one of the things I've been struggling with right now during all this COVID stuff is like, what is my next goal in life? You know, am I supposed to dive super deep into this podcast? Am I supposed to, is law school going to be my next move? Am I supposed to like really grind football? Like, what is my next move? And so that's kind of me and the God or the universe. That's kind of been our, like, that's what I've been trying to figure
Yeah.
out lately. I don't know if you ever like have like those kind of conversations.
Oh yeah. I would always, and I still do, talk to myself in the car. I will just like have conversations with myself and just like speak. Or then I also like to walk by the beach. That's like my walk by the ocean. And I'll always, if I'm like in a very down, like a very down space, I'll find these like conch shells, and that'll be a sign for me. Like I found for last year, I found like a ton. I have like a whole shelf of them, but I recently found one the beginning of this month, and I was like, yes, it's a sign. Like I'm on the right. I just think it means that you're in the right place at the right time, and it's like a sign of good luck. But and I'll see. I've been seeing 313 all week, and that's like my angel number. So I don't know. I just keep seeing it. Actually just bought a new canvas roll for my new painting about joy, and the price was 31.30. So I was like, that's weird that it was exactly that price. But
Yeah. My
yeah, I believe
friend,
in signs.
my friend Nate, he's like the in Tough Enough, which is like the division underneath UFC. So he's a mixed martial artist, and his angel numbers, I don't want to butcher them, but they're like, he's a big believer in angel numbers. And so his big thing, like what kind of blew him up and put his name on the market, is he did the first ever move called the Go-Go Plata, um, in Tough Enough history. And right before that, he met like his hero Nate Diaz, and like all these angel numbers were like coming up. Like his room was like that, and like they kept popping up. And he met him, and Nate Diaz was like, "Yeah, you're gonna do a Go-Go Plata in your match." And then he flew to Mesquite, and his like room number was like his angel numbers. And then he did
Whoa,
the Go-Go Plata, and he like it like blew him up. So I don't know what my angel numbers
it's
is. Maybe
real.
maybe I haven't been looking enough, but I totally believe in him. When he told me that, it was one of my early podcasts. When he told me that, though, I was like, wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah, no, you just need to look out. I think you just need to look out for it, or just be open to it, and then you'll notice. Because I didn't notice before, and then it just kept coming up. Like right before I moved to this apartment, it happened, and now it's starting to happen. It usually happens too when I don't know if you're into meditation or anything, but whenever I'm deep into meditations or like, on my spiritual routine, it'll pop up coincidentally. Well, I don't believe in coincidences, but it'll just start popping up.
So meditation, I'm glad you brought that up. Fascinated by meditation. Really hard to do it though. I always start it. I always start it really for like a month, and then I'll never do it again for like 2 years. I started
Oh gosh.
dabbling into meditation but again, I think a lot of the things I do when I'm just like deeply talking to myself, breathing, that's kind of a form of meditation.
Yeah, no, that definitely can be.
It's just not super strict. Like when I meditate, I like try to meditate. But what I've been trying to do is 5 minutes in the shower, just letting the water hit me and just breathing, with my eyes
Yeah,
closed.
breath work is really good. It's like I hate whenever people think of it as like a very strict thing, because I did before, and that like deterred me from it, because anything like super strict, I'm like, no, like I'm not doing it. But I there's some days obviously I really don't want to do it. It's harder, and that's when I know I need to do it, because when my mind's like racing, I'm like, sit. It's just like telling a dog to sit. Like tell your body to sit and to just be in control of that. um, has been huge. I just do like 10 to 15 minutes, but then recently I've been doing like nighttime ones, which I think are really great, and like doing journaling too. But I just use it to become aware of my thoughts and to just see like where I am, and like a litmus test for myself for the day. And I also I've been visualizing like gold coming into my crown chakra. So I don't
That's
know,
cool.
or my third eye. But yeah, I think there's so many different ways that you can do it. I also have, I just started, I don't know if you've heard of To Be Magnetic. It's like a course it's like I'll send you it after, but
Yeah.
it's, different journaling prompts and like meditations that go into different like boundaries, different topics, but it makes it understandable. And I don't know, I'll send it to you. You might be interested in it. I feel like you
Yeah,
would.
definitely. The way I got into it was Headspace, the app Headspace. I don't know if you know what
Me
that is.
too. Me
Yeah.
too. That's exactly what I bought it too. I bought it was like $100 or something, and then I deleted it because I don't use it anymore. It's not very good. I use Insight Timer, and I just put the timer on, and I
Hmm.
try and do silent, like just try and do like 5 minutes of silent, even though it's hard. But
Yeah. No, that's I it just kind of taught me how to do it, and then like I try to do when I do meditate, I try to do complete silence. The one thing that really like I have a really hard time with is I can sit still and I can do that for a long time if I'm doing something, but if I'm just sitting here and I'm like feeling the sitting, I feel like my skin's crawling off of me and I can't stand it. I literally like I have to be, especially if I'm laying down. Like I feel like my chest is like falling on myself. I'm just like I can't do. Like it just like my body just
have
wants to like get up and move. You know.
have you done Wim Hof breathing method?
No, but I heard about it,
Do it.
and what I kind of got introduced to that is I used to take like at least 5 to 10 minutes, or not 5 to 10 minutes, 5 minutes of cold shower at the end, and
Yes.
I just did that when I was a freshman because I was like, oh, it like helps with weight loss, and I was trying to be shredded, just stupid freshman stuff, um and they were like, I like looked up cold showers, and it was like, oh, it's really good for you, and I found Wim Hof, and it was talking about like
Mhm.
how really like actually beneficial it is, but I've never tried the
Yeah.
breathing techniques. What is it
You should. So
exactly?
it takes like 10, you would like it because it takes me like 10 minutes to do. And that I would count as a meditation because it's like deep breathing, and it's like a set of it's the first set. It's 3 sets of breathing, and then he'll like go through deep breath in, deep breath out for like 25 times, and then you hold your breath for a minute and a half, and you really hold it, and that's when like you feel your body like you'll feel your fingertips tingling, but it's good for your like blood circulation and all that. um and you can obviously breathe if you can't hold your breath, but you get better at it as you do it more. Because I started to do that last year when I started taking cold showers. I heard about like the benefits of them and got into them. I'm not doing them right now, but I probably should start doing them again. But
It's
cold therapy is so good
yeah.
for you.
Yeah, I always used to love ice baths when I was like injured and
Yeah.
stuff. So I've been struggling with injuries for football for I don't know how long now. I never really got injured when I was younger, and then got to college and just kept piling on. Um,
Getting
but
older.
but the cold like ice baths and stuff, I love them. But
Yeah.
it's so hard. There's literally nothing more hard than getting up in the morning and like you like trying to get yourself to get into a cold shower.
Yeah, that's the hardest part is just
Yeah.
like jumping in the shower and being like, shut up. Like, I just need to get in the shower. It'll be
Yeah.
better. Then it's like shock just over your whole
Yeah.
body.
The
I
way
did
that
them for 30 days straight last year.
how
Like, I
did
did
that
them for a
feel?
whole month. Like, the beginning, I actually had like, like side effects because I
Mhm.
just did 5 minutes right away. Like, I was like, I'm doing it. And like it was after the showers, like I would just get like so cold, but I wasn't like easing into it. But after like a week I was fine, and I kept doing it. But
Yeah, they always tell you to do like the James Bond shower to start, where you're like it's super
yeah,
hot and then you get colder as the shower goes on. But then
that's
I'm
what
like,
normal people do. Yeah.
yeah. I usually just when I was like starting it, I would just like have it hot and then like I just be like, all right, just do it. And then I would turn it to all the way cold and I just stand there and then I just take it for as long as I could and I'd get
Yeah.
out.
See, I think that's worse. Like if you feel the heat and then you turn it cold, it's way worse than just turning it freezing cold
Yeah.
to me. But
Could be.
each their
Yeah, to each their. So back to you and like your whole art career and everything. How did you like not that how did you like become like professional and but like how did you seek out opportunities? How did you like become like more successful with getting your painting out there and like marketing yourself?
It's like I've been doing it consistently for years. Like just on Instagram, I would just post like all the time. Like if you look back at like I don't know, I post all the time. I try and stay consistent. But recently TikTok was like huge for me. Like I had a video get over 150,000 views. Like it like took off, and then I've been like that's been my main source of income because the algorithm's so much better for me on there than Instagram. And I'll just get sales. Like I started selling prints last year, and that's been my main source is like prints, which I'll sell like smaller ones, and then it'll go up to hand embellished prints, which are like more like the original, and they can be up to like, I sell up to 36-inch ones. But I've been doing prints, which if I post a video of the painting, like a big part of my process is sharing, or a big part of my marketing is sharing my process, because I think it really gives somebody access into the process, which is so sacred. And if somebody sees like a quick video, like TikTok, it's 10 seconds. It's so easy for me to edit and put all my time lapses together. So I'll just like post a video, do a pre-order, and then I'll be like preparing those orders and getting them out. And then if I sell the original, it's great. But it was just like figuring out how to passively make money and to have orders coming through. But that comes with like a ton of consistency on platforms.
Yeah. Social media is grand in people's work out there. I always see like people like maybe like a mural or something will like blow up, and then someone will quote it and be like on Twitter, be like, that's me, and then they'll get like a lot of followers and stuff from it. So I think there's a good and a bad side to it, but I think if you're using it correctly, and if you're like creating something and marketing yourself, it's one of the best. It's probably the best tool humans have ever had for marketing yourself.
No, I agree. And like what you said about how to get opportunities, I joined a community actually at the beginning of quarantine. It's called the Art Queens. It's like all these female artists that I've gotten the chance to meet. And one of my mentors runs it, Kat Popova, who's the owner of Create Magazine. And I met so many artists throughout her program. And then it just like led to other opportunities and other coaching opportunities too. So community is huge just for getting out there and finding what's out there too, and meeting other people.
Do you have
being an artist can be a little isolating at times.
I was going to ask you that. Is it lonely when you're working on paintings all day?
Yes, but recently it hasn't been, because I am a part of like a coaching group and I meet weekly, like twice a week. So it's good to break it up. But yeah, before quarantine, it was more isolating for me to be an artist, because I didn't know as many people, and I don't know. It's interesting because it's very isolating, but it also has brought me to seeing other artists, and it's been,
I wouldn't have known what Zoom was if quarantine happened. So, I mean, I give credit where credit's due. You got to give the devil his due. You got to give COVID some of the credit and all this nonsense. But I think that it did help me in starting this, and it helped me like meet a lot of other people and connect with other people, and honestly, like develop social media into something that's not just faking life. Like, not that I was like faking my life on Instagram and everything, but like that's kind of what like a lot of social media of people's is. It's like them like portraying them happy, especially Instagram.
Oh yeah.
And then Twitter's a lot of people ranting and stuff. But like
now I'm not on Twitter as much. I'm mainly like TikTok, Instagram. Yeah. That's my two.
I got into Twitter when
Clubhouse.
I was younger.
Are you on Clubhouse?
I know, but
I need to be on that. I can send you an invite actually.
Yeah.
Because you have to be invited on, but I'll send you one.
Yeah, because this guy I'm gonna have on in a couple of weeks who has his podcast is the After Hours Entrepreneur. He always talks about it and stuff. And is it just like meeting different people and talking to different people?
Yeah, I think it's more like you jump on to it's like rooms, and then you join a room and you can listen to people talking. So it's more like about the networking.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But I haven't joined any rooms yet. I just recently joined this week, so I need to look more into it. But
my friend Cadence, he's a Twitch streamer. He creates music. I met him through my friend, but also through my podcast. He wanted to do something where like he was streaming and he would bring on like 6 content creators of some form and like link them all together. And I was like, that's a really good idea, bro. If you made that into an app, that's like golden. And I guess they've done it. I guess they have done it.
Yeah. No, that's I think
billion-dollar
exactly
ideas.
What that is. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I feel like right now too, like this is giving like super, I'm not saying this in any disrespectful way, nerdy people to create the most awesome apps. Like,
Yeah.
because like if you can get like the Silicon Valley kids, like if you can get someone who's like super smart, like time alone coding, they can code the most unimaginable social medias and stuff, you know?
Yeah. It's actually insane. Like even for me, just like TikTok and how that's just like implemented into my life, it was like at first I was like, I'm not joining TikTok. And then my younger cousin was like, Halie, you've got to, like, there's artists on there. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to be like TikTok artists. But then I got on it and it was like really, I don't know, just because video is my thing. So it just kind of worked out. But I just think there's so many, like you said, opportunities for new platforms, especially during this lovely time of COVID that we have.
I'm interested in seeing like what the future is gonna hold for like
Yeah.
personal encounters, you know? Like I feel like Zoom and things like that are gonna be utilized a lot more, especially for people like that can't get here, like are not in the country and things like that. You know,
Hmm.
I think Skype was pretty big with that, but I think like Google Meets and stuff, now that they're out there and they're getting better and people are working on them, I feel like people are gonna meet in person less and less, you know?
Yeah, it gets me scared for like I just immediately my mind goes to galleries. Like I want my work to be seen like in person and like
Yeah.
I want that so bad. It's like something that I definitely want to happen. But yeah, like with all these like with Zoom and all these virtual platforms, it's like got to hold out hope
Yeah.
for real human like actual human interaction. But I
Do you
am
have
grateful for these
Yes,
platforms though,
definitely.
for sure.
Do you have any what's the right way to say this? In your mind, is there a greatest painter of all time?
Frida Kahlo.
Frida
Frida is
Kahlo?
my yeah, she's my favorite because she was the first artist I saw that painted from like I just connected right away because she paints from pain like me and she does like self-portraits. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her work, but if you aren't, you should look because her paintings they're unreal and she's my favorite just because she paints from that place of such like vulnerability
Hmm.
and she makes you feel it too. Like I feel it when I look at her work. Yeah.
Yeah. So when earlier you were talking about like what most of your art like is supposed to represent and all that,
Mhm.
but like what is your like work aimed to say? You know, like what are you like aiming at when you're creating a piece, or is it all different?
Like when I create something, I want it to I don't want it to force an idea on anyone. I want somebody to take it in for what they are going to interpret it as. Um, it's like, I don't know. I think I leave that up to whoever's viewing it. Like, it's like kind of where you let go of control as an artist is putting your work out there. Like, I wanted to empower women. I wanted to, or men, but, or anyone. I just want to I know that I have to put it out there and then whatever else happens just kind of goes on. But yeah.
I can relate to that in a way because I always think about like if I'm writing a song, I'm like, dude, if I got on Genius right now, what would I say any of this means? You know, like you know how those people always read the lines like, oh,
Yeah,
this is where I got this from. I was
I'd
like,
be scared to do that. Like about a painting, I'd be like, I don't know.
yeah, like just
I've
to
seen
start
those
like
videos.
I you know, I was trying to rhyme and I thought of sky and then blue came out of that. Like, that's not really that
Yeah.
inventive. No, but I think a lot of the times, I don't know if this is how you feel with paintings, but a lot of the times when I'm writing a song or if I'm doing anything creative, it like comes out of me and then I look back on it and I think, oh, that was actually like true, you know, or like that's actually coming like from me subconsciously and I didn't even think about it when I was doing it. I was like, oh, I'm just rhyming. But then I look back and I'm like, no, that's a little deeper than just rhyming, Collin, you know?
Yeah, it's like you're experiencing that and then transferring it in whatever medium that you are.
Yeah.
And there's like there's a lot of courage in doing that too and like putting it out there because it is like some of my most recent works and like this one behind me, it is scary to put it out for judgment, like for anyone to say anything, like um, because it's coming from such a soft space inside you. It's like you have to be so kind of comfortable in that and allow just trust. I think it comes from trust, like trusting the idea, trusting that it's coming from that place and that it's going to be received in um, whatever way that it will. But I've had some great responses this past year, like just with selling to different parts of the world. Like I've been selling internationally, which has been like a huge thing for me, just to sell. I just sold to Australia, which I was like, oh my God, that's insane. But it speaks back to me and says, wow, this is something that is universal. It's not just something, how can something that I've gone through affect you? And kind of being able to connect with different women around the world about that is awesome.
I think the number one most marketable tool for creating anything like artistic is uh the collectivization of that piece. So like almost making something universal in a sense, like, and not even in a, let me say this in a way, not even in a like, oh, I'm just gonna make this so everyone understands. Like some pop songs are kind of like that, where it's just like, oh, I'm gonna make something that everyone's gonna like, but more like making something universal through the individual's pain. You know what I mean? Or individual's pleasure.
Hmm. Yeah, like that goes with the ego too. Like thinking, like before I would think, oh, I need to make this, it needs to be great, like it needs to speak to so many people. And when I was focusing on that outcome, it wasn't communicating in that same way. Of is just like, I was on a run, I thought of this, I know I have to make it, and whatever happens. I had no idea that it was like, this was temptation, kind of the first piece that I sold like a ton of prints of. And I was like, holy crap, like I didn't even expect to do this. It's like those ideas that come not from that ego driven standpoint, that come from that collective consciousness, that it's just like when you're serving as the vessel and not as like, I'm the divine creator. um it's, I don't know, that's just how I think about it. And I don't know if you know Liz Gilbert, the
Mm-mm.
author of Eat, Pray, Love, or she is also the author of Big Magic, which is a creative book that I read. And she talks a lot about the creative genius. I have it written up in my studio. It says welcome creative genius. And it's kind of like welcoming in something bigger than you, like, so you don't get intimidated when you're going to create. It's like you're welcoming in your genius,
Mm-hmm.
something that's outside of yourself that you can communicate with and create from. Um, and I love that idea because it was like, this isn't me, this is something different,
Yeah.
bigger.
So I like what you said about being the vessel instead of the divine, like creator,
I don't even know
because
what I just said, but I was like,
no,
I
I
guess it
like
makes
that
sense.
because it makes me think about this paper I wrote last year, and I always talk about how about and I read this too, and I'm a big philosophy guy. I love philosophy, but I was reading basically that I can't remember who it was. It was some ancient philosopher, but they were basically saying that the thing that lives, the thing that is infinite and eternal is life itself. So life itself goes on living after even you die, and anyone, like, humans die, but
Hmm.
life in the city as a collective stays like um developing and forming. So like uh you know when you pass away, the city will still work as a city. The collective soul of the city is what I was talking about. And like I always think like that's kind of what we try to do the best, and I almost think that that's kind of what like government is stems to do, is to keep that collective of the city like alive and healthy, and it can become very unhealthy very fast. So I think like all of us humans, all we're really trying to do is to keep is to keep
It's a clip.
is to keep this collective soul of like the city, the state, alive and healthy, and going on for generations.
Yeah, that's what art is, I think,
Yeah.
is like, that's what keeps it going. Like the love from creating art. At least that's what I think.
Yeah. So when you're painting, like, or not just when you're painting, like what does painting mean to you specifically?
it's it's just been the one thing that I feel I feel the best doing. I don't know what else. It's like I don't question it. There's nothing else that I can disconnect, like I keep saying, from the ego, disconnect from myself and like become a part of an idea or something greater than myself. Um, it's just like I've been like that since I was little. Like I've always had to be making something. Like there's never a time where I'm not like drawing or doing something. It's just inherently, it's something just within that I have to do. Um, it's just, I think at its core, it's pulling from a place greater than me.
Mm-hmm.
And the act of that, doing that makes me feel joy, which is
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's nothing
yeah,
like being totally passionate about something. You know, like
yeah. It's like being in flow. It's like you get in your
being in
flow.
flow. Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. You know, sometimes I don't. My mom has always told me that I'm going to do something. They always thought I was going to be a lawyer, and I still might be. Like that's still one of my goals is to go to law school because I just love speaking. And then I found this, and it's like, you know, it's sometimes it's very stressful doing this because it's like, all right, you're very like, no, I wouldn't call you very talkative, but you like flow very easily. But a lot of people don't do that. There's some people who
Oh,
are very quiet,
thanks.
and it's very hard to get them to speak, you know. And but you want to because you
It's a
want,
skill. It's a
yeah.
skill to interview. That's why it's like I'm holding back because it's easy for me to talk and
Hmm.
answer questions, but it's hard to do what you do and to facilitate like a
Hmm.
conversation because it's like it lays on your shoulders in a way. Like it's like if
Yeah,
somebody's not reacting the way that you expected them to, or
yeah,
like having an expectation, it
yeah.
yeah.
And I
Sorry, I didn't
also
mean to
want
cut
to.
you off.
No, no, you're good. That's exactly what I wanted, just an interaction. But like I try to engage. You want to get them engaging because like, you know, like, okay, I guess some of the people who listen to me come back because like I'm the host, but they also come back because they want to listen to the other person, you know. And so like I yeah, I get frustrated and everything, but like I can really feel when I'm in a flow, you know, like I said, or even when I'm creating music or doing really anything. Like you really, when you're like really passionate about doing something, and like time stops altogether, but it also speeds up in a way. It's
Hmm.
the craziest thing. It's like almost like you're outside of time and space.
Yes.
Like I'll give you an example. I'm a kicker in football. So do you know what that is? I'm guessing you do.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah, I
yeah.
know. I played Madden when I was little, so I know.
Okay. And so the other day we were doing like competition things like that. We were competing and charting, and like it was, we were both like going back and forth, and it was like one of those like healthy competitions because he's like one of my best friends, you know. We were like
Hmm.
back and forth, and it was like so much fun, and like I felt like I was just there super like into it, super zoned in, but also like outside of like reality almost, you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
guarantee that's kind of how you feel with painting sometimes.
Yeah, it's like you escape. It's a way to escape. Like I don't know. It's a way to just. There's something when you're in flow. Like sometimes I can't get into it. Like today I was working. I'm like, oh crap, I can't. It's just not happening today. It's like, but when I like get the get the push to do it, and I put on like I do listen to music when I'm in flow. Like I'll listen to something and it'll immediately kind of jumpstart that. But there's been times where it's like hours pass and yeah, it's like time doesn't matter. And there's been painting's been the only thing really for me that's been like that. Or if it's been like sports or something in the past, but recently that's been the only kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. But yeah, when you find something that you're very passionate about or that you love and you can get into that flow, like that's the essence, I think, of life.
Mm-hmm.
But
There's,
I'm getting deep
yeah.
now, but that's
No,
just, I
hey,
don't
this
know.
is what I like to call the philosophical part of my show.
Yeah.
We always get into something that we don't, both the me and the guests don't really understand, but we're talking about it because that
Yeah.
creates more insight and more thought. I'm a big thinker. I One of the biggest things I struggle with is if I have a thought on my head, it will spin 1,000 times when I'm trying to go to bed or something, and it will never shut up. And I'll like one of the big ones I'm struggling with right now is like I DM a lot of people every day trying to have like get people on, and most of them say no or they don't answer because like people are just like,
Really?
well, I wouldn't say most of them. I would say I feel like a lot of people are busy because a lot of people I DM are like have jobs. Like I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
I DM'd a forensic pathologist who, do you know what that is?
Not
It's
really.
like someone who like examines dead people for like crimes and stuff like
Oh,
that, for like
that's
crimes and
cool
things like
though.
that's see
Yeah.
that's what I thought. But she's like, yeah, I'm super busy and all that. I'm like, yeah. I was like, if you're ever not there, I would love to pick your brain about it.
Yeah.
But like things like that happen. But I'll like be sitting laying in bed and like I'll think of a question I have for some guest that I haven't even like contacted yet, and I'll be like, that's a good ass question. I gotta write that down right now. And like
Yeah.
and or like my more or like I'll try to answer the questions myself, and I'm like, just please, I'm just trying to sleep right now. I got like practice in the morning, I got class or something, but my mind just like I'm a big like curious guy, so my mind just spins. What I've found lately is, I don't know if you know the channel Vsauce.
No.
So he basically, it's like this guy, and he like, it's like a big channel, but they like talk about like curious questions, and they like talk for a while for like 20 minutes, and I just turn that on, get engaged, fall asleep. So
Oh, I watch ASMR. I don't know if you
mm.
do, but that's been like something that helps me fall asleep a lot.
I yeah. Do you like have those like? Are you like an easy sleeper, or like do you have constant like thoughts? Like, is it hard for you to sleep?
I'm I'm easy sleeper unless I'm on TikTok or something. It's so hard to fall asleep, but I've been trying to like not go on it as much. But no, it doesn't. It's not hard. It's not hard for me at all. Do you? I was meant to ask you. Do you journal in
My
the
journal.
morning or do like a brain
Mm,
dump? Because I feel like that would be
mhm.
good to do that.
Probably.
It Julia Cameron talks about it in her book, The Artist's Way. And it's basically like right in the morning, you write down 3 pages of
Hmm.
just like stream of consciousness. And I think that I do it. I do like 2 pages in the morning. That's part of my routine. But I think that
Hmm.
especially for you, like if you have thoughts that continually come up and especially with like questions and stuff, I feel like
Hmm.
you would benefit from it a lot.
I also like am a very prolific dreamer. Like I have like if I have very vivid dreams like all the time. Especially like depending on what I eat and how like what I take before I sleep and stuff like that. And so I would love to talk to somebody like who like knows dreams and stuff like that, because I wake up and I'm like, why
Yeah.
was there a 300-foot stingray under a water slide? Like things like that. And so like I would love to
I
have
need to
someone.
have dreams like that. Yeah.
No, it's
I don't remember my dreams. I wish I did.
I've always been fascinated with dreams, because like I always had like insane dreams like my whole life, like, and a lot of the times it's just stuff I'm doing during the day. Like I can wake up and like, oh, I remember, like, maybe I watched a video and that was in it or something. Like I've had like 3 dreams, and like I think Joe Rogan was in one. He was like talking to me or something, and that's probably because I was watching his podcast. I had one that Pat McAfee was in. Do you know who that is?
No, why
He's
don't I
a
know?
Because well, he's an old kicker in the NFL, and he like has a
Oh
really big
yeah, that's
sports.
probably why I
He
wouldn't
has a
know who
really
he
big
is.
Yeah, he has a really big sports show. So he was in like one of them.
Hmm.
And, like, so things like that happen where like people who are in the show are like like people that I've seen or something like that. But I also have dreams where like I'm like, what does this even mean? You know?
You should read I have the book, I just haven't read it all because it's like really in depth, but Sigmund Freud, Interpretation of
Mm,
Dreams. I tried to read that because I'm like, I classify my art too as like a bit of surrealism, like some of the stuff that I do. So I was really into that. I'm like, I need to have cool dreams. Like I need to read. But I think you have to have the dreams before. But some of the dreams I remember, but I would recommend that book because it talks all about the meanings of some of the
definitely.
things.
So where do you get the names for most of your paintings?
Okay, so the ones I've been recently doing with Taylor Swift, those are album or song names. And then the other ones, so my bigger ones are based off like a series I'm calling interludes, which are like blips, um, blips in time that have been like sticking to me, either like memories or fantasies or something in between, anywhere in between with that. But I get them, I like to do like one line. So the one is called Impasse, which means dead end, and it's actually a very happy looking painting. But I get them, I don't know, I just get the idea and I think of it halfway through. Like Excess, I don't know if you know the one that I did with the fur coat, women in the fur coat in front of the ocean,
Mm-mm.
but that one's called Excess, and that's about just like too much. This one right there is her cup runneth over. So it's based off the Bible verse, that cup runneth over. Because these ones, they have to do with like materialism and too much. I love the concept
Yeah.
of too much.
And then what? So if you could name 3, this is probably gonna be hard. And if you can't, it's fine. But if you could name 3 of your most favorite paintings, which ones would they be?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like your personal favorites.
Oh, mine. Okay, I was like, crap. I need to think of this. My favorite paintings, um, Excess, the one I just said.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it's kind of easy. Excess, Temptation was like such a favorite. I don't know. It happened in like a month, which was like the quickest I ever painted something. I was in such a flow with it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Excess Temptation and Impasse, which are all from this
Nice.
year, or sorry, last year. But yeah, those are my favorites.
Well, I think that's a good way to end it on your favorite
Yeah.
paintings. Thank you for coming on. That was fun to interview you and talk to you.
Yeah, no. Thanks for having me. I really
Definitely.
enjoyed it.
You should send me those the meditation, the
To be
2D one.
magnetic.
Yeah.
Yes, you need to do that. And
And
then
then yeah, and
Clubhouse,
then Clubhouse.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
But
I'll
yeah,
do that right after.
yeah, and then is there anything you want to say last just about you? Anything like any of your paintings coming out or anything? Just the last final
Yeah,
words.
so I guess just like my Instagram. I have my Instagram just at my name at Halie Torris. My TikTok. I do have my podcast too, The Closeted Artist, and I do have YouTube. But yeah, I'm pretty much on everything. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Halie. That was a lot of fun. Thank you so much again for coming on. Make sure to send me the Clubhouse and the Tubi, and I'll definitely reach out to you and everything. This is probably going to be out on Tuesday at
All right.
most next Friday. But thank you again.
Yeah.
This was fun
Thanks
talking
for
to you.
having me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can do it again
Thank you.
sometime. Bye.
For sure.